Right, now joining us on the line is Robert Evans. Robert is a Surrey County Councillor and former member of the European Parliament. First things first, Robert, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you. It's good to talk.
Thank you very much for joining us. Now, I want to talk firstly about your motion through Surrey County Council. As you tweeted, you're, of course, the only Labour member of Surrey County Council. You're fairly outnumbered when it comes to opposition parties. Firstly, tell us about the motion itself.
Well, the motion is really getting Surrey to recognise that modern slavery is something about which we've all got to be concerned, and it's occurring across Surrey's towns, villages, in Kingston and across London boroughs as well. It's hidden, but it's actually there before us, and some of us aren't realising what's actually going on.
And like you said, it's one of those things where I think most people are completely unaware that modern slavery occurs. I mean, of course, most people in their minds have an image of what they perceive slavery to be, but what kind of things are we seeing in terms of modern slavery? What form does it take?
You're quite right. People think that slavery died with the American Civil War, or William Wilberforce outlawed it in this country a couple of hundred years ago. Well, what's happening at the moment is that people are being enticed to this country. The people trapped in modern slavery are nearly always migrant communities and some of the most vulnerable in society, who've perhaps been lured to this country by promise of a job and a better life, and they end up working. They have their passport taken away, their return ticket taken away, and so they're in a situation where they have to work for somebody. And Surrey has already had a number of people charged with this, and the police are investigated in one successful prosecution. And it's people who are working in industries like nail bars, car washes, on the farms, cafes, restaurants, and sometimes in personal domestic service in houses and homes that exist. Doesn't mean to say that every nail bar has got, or every car wash has got something like that, but there are estimated to be something like 13,000 people in this country at the moment who are in some way or other trapped in some modern slavery situation.
Now, Robert, we, of course, live in increasingly polarised political times. This was a motion, as you alluded to in some of your tweets, that it kind of brought a lot of parties together. Out of interest, was there any opposition that you experienced?
No, there wasn't, and I put different motions to Surrey County Council. As you say, I'm the only Labour Party member there, so I have to get other people to support it, and it has to be something that the majority Conservatives, with 61 out of 81 councillors, are going to accept. And I had discussions with the leader of the council and some of the officers to make sure that they were going to accept it, because otherwise it would have been a gesture. And although gesture politics sometimes has its role, I wanted Surrey to take a lead and recognise that they were going to ensure that they do things to counter modern slavery, which is, we know, occurring in Surrey and around the southeast of England.
Robert, as you mentioned then, you're of course the only Labour member of Surrey County Council, except from perhaps being lonely at times. How difficult and how much of a challenge is that for you personally as a politician?
Well, it presents problems and issues, but I have very strong principles, and I'm, as you alluded, an experienced politician, so I know where I can draw on my skills and my strengths to entice the Conservatives and other opposition people to join me and try and improve things in a county which got predominantly Conservative elected members, but that doesn't mean to say they represent all the people in the county, far from it.
And what can Labour do as a party more broadly to improve their representation, not just on Surrey County Council, but in Surrey constituencies and all levels of politics within Surrey?
Well, we have a lot of people who vote for Labour Party at national level and regional level and obviously local level. We have a few councillors. I'm the only county councillor, but we have different councillors in the boroughs. In Epsom, next door to Kingston's got 3 very good Labour councillors. And what we do, speak up for people and have a different agenda from the Conservatives, but also from the other opposition parties, whether it's the Liberal Democrats or residents' associations. I'm coming from a principled position on the left, and this particular motion here on countering modern-day slavery is one that's inspired by the Cooperative Party, the cooperative movement, which is very much involved in, obviously, co-ops, but generally in industry overall in Surrey and elsewhere.
Robert, as we mentioned at the start, you're, of course, a former member of the European Parliament for London North West. Now, at a time where Europe is very much in the political news, kind of broadly, what was your experience like within the European Parliament?
Well, the European Parliament, in the end, I was first elected for London North West, but then under a regional list system, I covered the whole of London, so I'm sort of got a bit of a track record in many parts, including in Kingston. Well, the European Parliament does a huge amount of important work, but rarely gets the publicity for it or really gets the sort of credit that it deserves. And you can look at a lot of things the European Parliament brought to people, whether it's sell-by dates or compensation for flights that are delayed, or some of the things that we've heard more recently to do with environmental issues. And there was one this week on the television, which has just slipped my mind at the moment, which will come back to me in a minute.
And Robert, to finish on a lighter note, I noticed on your Wikipedia page, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but it says you obviously speak French, some Spanish and German. It says you're learning Bengali. How is that going? Because it says, albeit slowly, is it improving?
আমার নাম Robert Evans, আমি বাংলা শিখছি, আমি সিলেটি জানি না, আমার Kingston ভালো লাগে. How's that? Yeah, it's slow.
I think that's...
That just said that my name's Robert Evans, I'm learning Bengali, and I don't speak Sylheti, which is a language spoken by a lot of people from the Bengali community in this country. It's a dialect or another language. And I like Kingston very much. I hope that was...
That was fantastic. Well, you're clearly a fast learner, Robert.
Well, no, it's a slow process. It's a difficult language. But as a former teacher, learning another language really has helped me to appreciate how difficult it is for young children who are even English first language or another language first to counter and face up to the English language and the complications and difficulties that we probably don't realise in the language as when we do it ourselves. I was going to talk with the European Parliament this week asked governments to start to outlaw disposable knives and forks and other, I think, paper cups and everything as well from plastic, from the catering industry, which I think is something that we should be pleased about.
No, definitely. Robert, while we got you on the line, how can people follow your work? You're on Twitter, aren't you?
I'm on Twitter. I keep things up on Facebook, and so I try to keep people like that. Don't actually have a website because I use Facebook now to keep people know what I'm doing in my area, which is Stanwell and Stanwell Moor, which is right next to Heathrow Airport. And obviously the issues to do with possible expansion of Heathrow Airport are ones that people are, particularly near I represent, very concerned about. But if it goes ahead, the knock-on effect for the whole of the area will be, I think, very considerable.
Fantastic. Well, Robert Evans, thank you very much for joining us on the line.
Thank you for your time.